Hey, free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So, Elkc asked me, hey dude, this wouldn't be a bad time for a best mainstay, or I think he meant main stat, or substat quick tier list or something for us simple folk. Also, I think I might go for some speed main stat with DPS substat on my relics. Okay, so he has requested for a tier list, which I do find that is of course the perfect time to talk about this, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are also wondering how to spend your precious resources over here, because you know, every single bit really helps. Every single bit of your resources is going to be extremely important, especially in crafting the perfect relic. Now, before we get into that, I just want to mention that I will be doing two perfect substats, okay? And you will understand what are those substats that I'm looking for towards the end of this video. But if you're still sitting on the fence with regards to whether you should go all out on your relics, right, to craft the best substats on your perfect relic, I'm gonna have to advise you to hold on a little bit and let me do it first, alright? Let me suffer on your behalf so you have a better idea of whether is it really worth your Nexus crystals. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at this once more. Let's take a look at the other relic that I have not built, right? So we can see what exactly we can craft over here and what I feel like it's the best thing for you to do, right? But do take note that all of this is obviously my own opinion. So my role is just to share my opinions with you to help you make a better decision. I'm not here to decide on your behalf. So at the end of the day, if you disagree or if you feel like something is better for you, then stick with it so that at the end of the day, you can only blame yourself. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's start with this. I don't think I'm going to give you a tier list or anything like that. Instead, I'm going to give you some pointers, right? Something for you to think about so that you can make the best decision for yourself. So, when we are talking about relics, there are two things, or rather, about three things that come to mind, right? Number one, DPS Espers. Number two, support Espers. And number three, speed relics. So these are the main three things in the game, right? So let's start off with support Espers. What are the main substats that you're going to look for in a support Esper? Let's say we're going for slot 2 or slot 4, right? So the main substats that most of us are going to be looking for is going to be maybe accuracy, HP percentage, speed, maybe defense percentage. But apart from these four, probably not much, right? And now, among these four, what is the main thing that you're going to be super excited about? Is it going to be accuracy? Is it going to be HP? Is it going to be defense? It's probably going to be one of either HP or defense. Most of the time, it's not going to be both. But in 90% of the cases, you're going to be focused on speed. So you definitely need your speed to go like triple rolls or quadruple rolls and all that, right? So because of that, there is still an extra layer of RNG in terms of upgrading a relic, which is why I wouldn't recommend you to focus so much on support relics, because there is always that chance that, you know, it could just go to everything else except for speed, and then you end up with a relic that has just a lot of HP percentage, or a relic with like so much accuracy without anything else for you to make use of. So for me, I am not going to touch support relics. So the next one I'm going to talk about is speed relics. So I had some comments in my previous video that they said that they are going to look for a speed main with a speed sub. So basically your slot 6, right? Because that's the best way for them to gain a lot of speed. Now this is pretty similar to the issue with the support relics. So the thing is, if you're going to go with a speed main and a speed sub, you still have an extra layer of RNG that you need to ramp up your speed sub like crazy, right? It has to all go into your speed sub. So because of that, I wouldn't advise you to go for speed relics as well. I wouldn't recommend you to aim for anything that requires RNG outside of relic customization itself. So finally, we fall onto DPS relics, right? And this is also the path that I am suggesting to you as well. Now, the thing about DPS relics is that there are two main DPS relics. One is defense-based and one is attack-based. Well, obviously, you have other stuff like Lin Xiao relics where you don't need crit rate, you need like a lot of speed, you need a lot of accuracy and all that. I don't want to go into that, alright? I need to focus on something a little bit more broad so that it's more usable on more Espers. So when we're talking about defensive Espers, how many defensive Espers can you name, right? There is Renzi, there is Dona, maybe Joza. But that's basically it, isn't it? But the thing is, in terms of like attack-based DPS Espers, there is so many more options for you to choose from. So what I would suggest to you is to go for an attack-based DPS Esper relic. So that really narrows down to the selection of relics that we can choose from. So for example, over here, you can see like there are so many different relics, right? So here's what I'm going to choose, right? And obviously you can choose otherwise. Now, should we go for War Machine? Frankly, I would say no, because honestly, in my opinion, I think Hammer of Thor is a lot better in terms of like the total stats that you can get, right? So there is 40% over here as opposed to 30% attack. Of course, this doesn't apply to all different cases, but in most cases, you would want to have more crit damage, and this is a little bit more stat in general. So I think War Machine is definitely out of the equation. And of course, some of you guys may also claim that, oh, I cannot farm Fafnir, so what's the point of me getting, you know, just one piece of this? And I understand, but the thing is, we are trying to be more future-minded here, so we need to make the best decision for the next like a few months down the road, right? So So I'm definitely not going to talk about War Machine. And as for Windwalker, what kind of DPS Esper uses Windwalker? Well, you have either your Sander, or you might have some specially built speedy DPS, like maybe a Lui or Tang Yun, for example. But these are very niche cases as well, so we're not going to talk about Windwalker, unless of course if you want to build your Sander, then that's totally fine. We're going to skip Snow Dowager. We may skip Hades as well, because honestly not every Esper in the game requires Hades. And we're definitely going to skip Abiding Panacea. We may choose Ocean Waves for certain DPS Espers, but honestly I feel like Ocean Waves is just generally better for more supports than DPS Espers. Of course I use Ocean Waves on my Tang Yun, but that's just me. It is a very unique build that not everyone would enjoy using. And of course we can consider Hammer of Thor. I think this is a really good set for you to consider. And we are going to skip Tyranny of Zeus because it's mostly used by supports. And finally we have the new set Astral Witchcraft. Now the thing is, for me, my personal preference is going to be Astral Witchcraft because it gives you a 20% chance that you can take an extra turn. So if you're using this on a DPS Esper, like for example Chloe, right? She can use her third skill, and if you're lucky, use her second skill immediately, and that is going to cleave so well for you. And of course there are some other Espers that benefit greatly from Astral Witchcraft, like for example Taylor, right? So if he fails to kill on one of his skills, he may get another turn, which would then allow him to take a kill, which would give him another turn with his passive, so on and so forth. That's how you can build a lot of turns using Astral Witchcraft. But yada yada yada, my main two picks are going to be Hammer of Thor or Astral Witchcraft. But we also have to talk about the two set pieces, because I'm sure some of you guys might be interested in knowing a little bit more about them as well. So in my opinion, the best sets for me is going to be number 1, Fiery. I feel like this is really good because the stat that it gives you is worth a lot. This is really worth a lot of upgrade points. And secondly, you can consider Sword Avatara as well. This is a very, very popular DPS Esper relic. Most DPS Espers would definitely work well with Sword Avatara because if you get hit and you survive, there is this chance, there is 25% chance that you're going to counter-attack. And if you're talking about Chloe, you have a 25% chance of counter-attacking, stealing their buffs, and dealing a lot of damage. Now, we're not going to talk about fringe relic sets like Adamantine on DPS Espers, and probably not Resist, and definitely not Enchanter, but we might consider something like Light Above, right? If you are really into PvP. So my top picks for the two set pieces, they are going to be number 1, Fiery, number 2, Sword Avatara, and number 3, slightly lower, but also pretty good. The Light Above set is a really good choice as well. And also, wow, I just realized that there is a daily cap on the total number of Relics that you can trade in per day, which is 1,000. So that means it's slightly less pay to win in my opinion, because there is a daily limit, right? Which means that this is entirely down to luck, and some whales may not even get the perfect subs. So this is of course something else for you to consider, right? Okay, but anyway, let's move on and let's talk a little bit more about the substats that we are interested in. Holy shit, I accidentally went with the Light Above. Okay, never mind. Let's just assume that this is an Astral Witchcraft. What we would be more interested in picking is going to be slot 2. Okay, and the reason why for slot 2 is because we want that juicy crit damage main. That's gonna give you the biggest bang for buck. Okay, so just imagine that this is crit damage, okay? This is not attack percentage. Now, because we are talking about DPS, what are the main substats that we are interested in, right? So in terms of general use, what I feel like is the best choice for most DPS Espers is going to be crit damage, crit rate, attack percentage, and speed. So these are the 4 of what I would consider the best substats. Well, obviously it's not always the case. You may not always need speed. You may need flat attack. That could push your DPS a little bit more. But I think in most cases, the speed sub is quite important. So my goal is always going to be crit damage, crit rate, attack percentage, and speed. So I hope this video answered all your questions pertaining, what can you customize, what should you customize, in my opinion. And hopefully you found this useful, and this is obviously going to be the few stats that I'm going to aim for in my perfect relic run. Well, hopefully that's the case because there is a cap on the number of relics that I can buy on any given day, which kind of sucks in my opinion. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now this has been Daddy Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.